everybody. Welcome to today's live Zoo to You. I'm Jen, one of the educators here at Stone Zoo. Katie is behind the camera today.
Hi everyone.
We are very excited to bring you into our Caribbean coast here at Stone Zoo. And we're going to take a closer look at our flamingos today. So let's come on in. So many people refer to a group of flamingos as a flock. However, they actually have sort of a fun name, and that is a flamboyance. So we call our flamingos a flamboyance of flamingos because of all of their bright, vibrant colors that you can see that they have. If anybody wants to take a guess as to how many flamingos we have here at Stone Zoo, you can go ahead and place those guesses into the comments below, and I'll tell you the answer in just a minute. So if you take a look at our flamingos behind me here, you may notice that they do have bands on their legs, and the bands actually tell us a lot about those flamingos. You'll notice that they're different colors, that they have numbers on them. So all of the yellow bands are actually females. Those are indicating that those are female flamingos, and all of the green bands are indicating that they are males. Now you may also see numbers on some of those bands, and those numbers are identifying each flamingo as an individual, and that helps us to keep track of them individually, so we can keep track of things like their weights and their overall health and well-being when it comes to any sort of veterinary care or medical procedures. So if anybody's been guessing how many flamingos we have here, the correct answer is 48, believe it or not. So American flamingos, which is what we have here at Stone Zoo, are also called Caribbean flamingos, and they are one of the largest species of flamingo. They can be found, and you guessed it, the Caribbean, but they can also be found in northern South America and even in some parts of the Galapagos Islands. Now they are very social, large groups, which means they can be very loud, as you can hear them behind me, and also very smelly. These guys like to live in groups of hundreds or thousands or sometimes even tens of thousands of other flamingos, believe it or not. They use vocalizations like this to communicate with one another. They'll also use bodily displays for breeding purposes and to help alert each other of any potential danger that might be in the area. Now, although flamingos may look sort of strange in the way that they are, each feature is actually an adaptation that helps that flamingo to survive in its habitat. So you can see that they have very long legs and very long necks. And those help them to be able to wade into deeper water where they're going to be able to find the food that they like to eat. What looks like their knees bending backward are actually not knees, believe it or not. Those are actually the flamingo's ankles, which means that if you're watching our flamingos walking around right now, they're actually walking on their tiptoes. Their knees are actually located up closer to their bodies underneath all of those feathers, so you can't really see them. They also have a very oddly shaped bill. You may notice some of our flamingos dipping their head down into the water, and what they are doing is actually filter feeding. These flamingos will use their head in a sweeping motion back and forth and use their tongue to help pump the water in and out of their mouth. So they'll be able to extract the water, they'll be able to get all of that out of their mouth and keep all of the good stuff, all of the food that they actually want to eat in their mouth. I do have a skull here that we can take a closer look at so you can see what those skulls might look like and how that works. So they're going to be dipping their head upside down just like that and moving it around in that motion. So in the wild, they're going to be eating things like crustaceans and algae and shrimp. And all of those foods that they eat are high in what we call carotenoids. And that's what gives them that really, really bright pink color that you can see. That's actually the same thing that's found in foods that we like to eat, like carrots and beets. However, we would have to eat a lot of carrots before we would start turning any sort of an orange color. Here at the zoo, we feed them a type of flamingo chow. And that flamingo chow does have a sort of supplement in it that is going to help them to keep that bright, vibrant color here at the zoo. Now, baby flamingos, when they're born, are actually hatched out as a white or a gray color. So they're actually not born with all of those bright pink feathers. It's actually going to take them around 3 to 4 years before they become fully mature and start to develop all of those bright, vibrant colors on their body. Now, 2 common questions that we get here at the zoo a lot is 1, why do flamingos stand on one leg? And 2, how can we keep our flamingos out year-round? If you've ever visited Stone Zoo here in the wintertime, you may have even seen our flamingos out in the snow. So to answer those questions for you, 1, why do they stand on one leg? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Scientists actually aren't entirely sure. There are a couple of different theories. One theory is that they're going to stand on one leg to help conserve body heat and also conserve energy by doing that. Another reason has to do with the flamingos resting. So they think that they actually can shut down half of their brain at one time. And that's going to allow the flamingo to sort of rest and zone out and get into a comfortable position, but also remain really alert for any predators that might be in the area as well. Now, flamingos can stay in that position for hours. If you're feeling a little stir crazy later and you want to get up and see how long you can stand on one leg, maybe you can set a timer and see if you can stand on your leg for an hour just like a flamingo would. Now, the other question has to do with why our flamingos can stay out year-round. And that's called something called counter-current heat exchange that flamingos have. So what they can actually do is transfer the blood flow through their body. So they're going to be pumping all of that warm blood that's in their body down to their lower extremities and down to their legs and their feet, and then constantly recirculating it. So it's keeping them nice and warm. So as long as we have warm flowing water here that doesn't freeze over, we can actually keep our flamingos out year-round. If it ever did get a little bit too cold or too icy for them, they do have a nice warm indoor space that they can go to as well. All right, so now that you've learned a little bit about our flamingos, I think we're going to take a couple of questions.
So Linda P. wants to know if they can fly.
That's a great question, Linda. So flamingos actually can fly. They do have to get a sort of running start to be able to catch the lift that they need to be able to fly. But once they're in the air, they can actually fly up to 35 miles per hour, which is pretty impressive.
Ava wants to know what animals prey on them.
So a lot of flamingos' predators, their biggest predators are going to be other birds of prey. They're going to target especially the younger flamingos and the eggs.
And then Mary and Christine want to know what their lifespan is here at the zoo and what their lifespan is out in their natural habitat.
All right, Mary and Christine, great question. So in the wild, flamingos typically live for about 20 to 30 years on average. However, under human care, they can live up to 50 years, which is a really long time.
And Kyla wants to know, why do flamingos stand on one leg?
All right, Kyla, so a couple of reasons that scientists think that flamingos stand on one leg. One has to do with conserving that body heat and that energy in their system. And then the other has to do, they're very loud right now. The other has to do with being able to rest and sort of shut down half of their brain at a time while still remaining alert to their surroundings.
Joseph wants to know if you can stand on one leg just like one of the flamingos.
Well, I can't bend my knee backwards, but, you know, if I was pretending to be a flamingo, sure.
And can you remind us how many flamingos we have here at Stone Zoo?
Yeah, so we have 48 flamingos here at Stone Zoo. If you ever come to visit, if you want to try to count them all, feel free.
Greg wants to know why the flamingo exhibit sometimes smells.
Great question, Greg. So these guys, as I mentioned, they do like to live in very large groups with one another. And again, 48 flamingos living all here together. It can get pretty smelly just being in such close quarters with one another.
Mary wants to to know if the water in their pond is cold or if it's heated or anything like that.
Great question, Mary. So I will have to double check on the temperature. I'm not entirely sure what the temperature is, but I do know that it's not really cold. I think they do keep it, a little bit warmer in the winter time to help these guys regulate their body temperature. But that's a really great question that we can definitely look into a little bit more and get back to you.
All right, I think we're just about out of time.
All right.
Questions?
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about our American flamingos today. Be sure to check back on this page tomorrow at 1:30 for another Zoo to You. And thanks for tuning in today. Bye.